Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is an excellent day to serve an excellent God in and with the spirit of excellence. I am Coach Sherry, Chaplain Sherry. I am your community pastor, Sherry. And it is good to be here this morning. If you look for me at 6:10 a.m., because today is a federal holiday, I have an opportunity to start a little late to sleep in a bit. So I pray that even if you do not find me or stumble upon this live, that you will come back and that you will listen to the replay. Again, it's good to be here. I pray that your weekend was great, that you had an opportunity to regroup, to restore, to renew, so that you can start all over again. Because that's really what the Sabbath is about, that God shows us the importance of regrouping, stopping, restoring. Not that the work was completed, but that we need a time to come to ourselves, to center ourselves so that we can begin this work again. Good morning. So today is our fifth day of Lent. So remember that we do not do Lent or our practices on Sundays. Sundays are excluded. But we do come back on that Monday. So I pray that you are with me. I pray that this time of reflection, this time of meditation, introspection, and observation is treating you well. Remember, we are not in this as a project. At the end of 40 days, we're going to check off a box, but we are hoping to develop spiritual practices and a better way of being, doing, seeing, and speaking. We want to develop habits and a lifestyle that will take us far beyond these 40 days. So on this fifth day of Lent, it's kind of like a continuation to what we talked about on the fourth day when John asked the question in Matthew 11:3, are you the one or is there another? Because remember, John is in prison. And he's wondering, listen, has all of this been in vain? Have I put my faith and my trust in one who really isn't the one? It fits into our fast from today. Today we are fasting from tidy faith. We are fasting from the idea of our faith should be in this particular box, and it's all or nothing. It's all or nothing. And so our fast today allows us, number one, to ask the question, to say, listen, I believe some of this, but what is going on in my life? Nothing seems to be going right. And I've been praying, I've been asking, I've been placing my faith and my confidence in you, but things have not changed. My circumstances has not changed. Are you the one or is there another? Please allow yourself to ask the questions. I just don't know for the life of me, and this is no judgment, because I had to get to that place myself where I understood that I can ask questions and that my faith did not have to be in a tidy little bowl, in a box, and there's a nice bow on top, signifying that everything is all well and pretty and dainty and all of that. No. Are you the one, or should we look for another? Today, we are going to see how Jesus answered John. And please, my friends, understand that Jesus did not go in judging him. Jesus did not go in judging him because his faith was messy and his faith was complicated. That's not what Jesus did. I want us to go to Matthew 11 and 5, and we're going to see just how Jesus answered John. I want you, even if you are not here with me live, to share, like, click, bring somebody in from your circle, your clique, or your crew, because I believe many of us Christians, many of us Jesus followers, we have questions. Our faith is messy. Whether we say it or not, there are times when our faith is messy. And so our fast focus today is we are fasting from tidy faith. Now, I don't need you to go and say, well, our community pastor, Sherry, said that, we shouldn't have faith. That's not what I'm saying. I'm giving you permission. I am giving you language for what you sometimes are already feeling. You have been asking the question, or it's deep down inside of you. You want to ask the question, are you the one, or is there another? Good morning, everybody who is here. Please say good morning. I know that I'm late. Our usual time is 6:10 a.m., but because I am off today, I decided to sleep in a little bit and to come on a little late. But I want us to continue in our fast. So the question is, are you the one, or is there another? That's Matthew 11 and 3. But I want to read, because I want us to have in context what's really going on. And I'm reading from the NRSV. It says, when John heard in prison, so that lets us know that John is in prison. He's in some trying times. He's in some dark situations right now, right? He is in prison. This is John who before had said, I must decrease for the one that is greater. He was all in, right? He was confident that Jesus is the one, is the Messiah that he was looking for, that he had preached about, that there is one coming. But now John finds himself in prison. And it says, when John heard in prison what the Messiah was doing, he sent word by his disciples and said to him, are you the one who is to come, or are we to wait for another? Jesus answered them. So John is in prison, but he sent word by his disciples to Jesus to ask, are you the one that we've been waiting for, or should we look for another? Jesus answered, go and tell John what you hear and what you see. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers cleanse, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have good news brought to them. And blessed is anyone who takes no offense in me. Let's read Jesus' answer again. Go and tell John. John is sent word through his disciples to ask Jesus a question, are you the one, or is there another? Jesus' answer is, you go and tell John what you hear and what you see. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have good news brought to them. And blessed is anyone who takes no offense in me rather. Jesus says, listen, this is how you tell John. Don't give John what you've read, what somebody else told you. You go and tell John what your personal experience is with me. Go and tell John what you have seen, what you have heard. Listen, can I tell you that a personal testimony will beat anybody's book learning? What you have seen, what you have heard of me, you've seen me heal the sick. You've seen me give sight to the blind. You have seen me cleanse lepers. You go and tell John. This is how the question is answered. Go and tell John what you have experienced of me. Perhaps your faith is a little bit messy this morning. Perhaps you don't know if you have placed your faith in the right one. Based upon Jesus' answer, it seems to suggest to us that those of us who have experienced Jesus have the best answer to someone's messy faith. Jesus didn't condemn him. He simply says, you go and tell them about your lived experience with me. No amount of doctrine, no amount of rules, no amount of any of that can trump a person's lived experience and testimony of what God has done in their lives. You don't have to pick up a book. You don't have to pick up a Bible. You don't have to pick up any of that. You just go and tell John what you have experienced of me. We need to understand that God is okay with our faith. Now listen what Alicia Britt Cole in her book 40 Days of Decrease. This is the book that I'm using as a point of departure, is that we weaken, not strengthen our faith when we silence sincere questions. Let's read that again. We weaken, not strengthen our faith when we silence sincere questions. Do you know that God welcomes our questions? Ask the question. Are you the one? Or should I be looking for another? Because the situations in my life calls for someone who can handle my sin. I don't have time to place my faith and my confidence in one who cannot come through. Faith in Christ is not an airy substance that rests on unquestioning souls. Biblical faith is muscular, thickened more through trials than ease. The author of our faith is more than able to address the identity crises. His unexpected words and ways may trigger. If your God is not able to answer your questions or even be able to stand up under the pressure of questions, can I suggest that your God is too small? May I suggest that your God is too weak? If God of your understanding cannot handle your questions, I submit boldly to you that perhaps you have latched on to the wrong one. John heard within Jesus' response the same striking answer that we hear today. Who is Jesus? Jesus is more than what we thought, hope, or imagined. His wildness is a source of wonder, not of worry. His righteousness is deeper than the ocean. His goodness is higher than the heavens. His faithfulness exceeds our comprehension. So what does that make us? Loved. Who are we? Christ beloved. We are loved, and we're making bold proclamations near cool waters under sunny skies. We are loved when we ask sincere questions in dark cells and darkened times. We are loved. Perhaps the questions come because we have placed God in a box, and we have said that Jesus can show up in only one way. See, they were looking for a conquering king, one who would topple over Rome. And Jesus comes in another way. May I suggest to you this morning, it's okay if you have questions. It's okay if your faith is a little messy right now. You may have conquered in one area because you have experienced God in that area. However, if you are sick and you have gotten in a diagnosis, or you are in a situation that you have not experienced before, understandably, you may ask, God, I know you to be a rock in a weary land, but I'm a little shaky about whether or not you are the great physician. I'm a little shaky because I've never experienced you like that before. Are you the healer, or should we look for another? And I can hear Jesus in my sanctified imagination tell us, you go and tell John that I was sick and I could not get well. But Jesus came through and he touched my body. And now I have a story to tell that he is a doctor in a sick room. Why? Because I've tried him and I know him. On this day, on this 5th day of Lent, I don't know if you are the one that you have the question. Are you the one, or should I look for another? Or you're on the other side, the ones that Jesus says, go and tell John what you have seen, what you have heard, or what you have experienced in me. Either one, God has an answer for our questions. Now, y'all be blessed and give up that tidy faith for today. Ask the question, because God has someone who can come and tell you what they've seen, what they've heard, what they've experienced in Jesus. Y'all be blessed, and may all be well with your day.